Oppai Hunters.
In this anime, girls infected with the arms virus are quarantined to one of 4 islands, the series showing Mermaid Island. It is filled with girls sorted into 2 categories, X-Stars and Liberators. Girls who can be aroused to turn into weapons, and girls who arouse the X-Stars. Throughout the series, they try to find a way out of the island while also fighting off the hostile army of the island.
Story.
The story of Valkyrie Drive is honestly all over the place. The first 6 episodes are enjoyable because each episode has their own arc. But after the initial 6 episodes, they try to form this one big arc, and it's just a confusing mess, and none of it makes any sense, and it just ends very appallingly.
Yeah, I agree. The first 6 episodes were nice because they introduced everyone and just see their roles and how they act and such. But then we started getting to, I guess, the main plot, but it was, like she said, all over the place, and it was very confusing to understand everything going on because they just shoved so much backstory into one girl, and then her actions made no sense. It was very weird to watch and not satisfying at all.
Through our watch through, I had the thought in my head that last episode we talked about Okasan and how that kind of suffered from the vibes of having like mini structured arcs, whereas this could have done with more structure from the beginning, even if it was like every 4 episodes is a different story rather than just doing whatever for each episode, until I felt that the story didn't actually start picking up until episode 8. And then it was too little too late at that point. So if this had any bit more of structure for the story, it would have been better. And even once the structure happened, I have no idea what was going on. I honestly couldn't tell you. I couldn't describe to you what happened in the story, what the plot was, or anything like that.
I don't think any of us could, to be honest. And I'm an idiot. I can acknowledge that I'm dense and stupid, but because y'all didn't understand what was happening either, I feel like there is no way anyone can figure out what the hell is happening in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Fan service.
So the art and animation in this series is pretty good, and the fan service for like the nipples and stuff were drawn well. But for some reason, I personally found the fan service moments a bit out of place and weird, even compared to other ecchi where it's just like clothes explosion, because everything just stops while they're doing like the arousal technique to get the transformation for the weapon. Like they'll be in the middle of the fight and then everybody just stands and watches while there's titty sucking to get the sword ready, and it just all came off weird for me. And also there were quite a handful of fan service parts in the series that felt uncomfortable, so that's another negative to that.
So a lot of the arousal parts kind of just made me feel awkward, I guess, because like you're with the characters, it's just like you're just watching this intimate scene, which could almost just border into watching a hentai, it felt like at times. It was just weird to watch, even though I've watched so many ecchis before. And it just had weird timing sometimes, how they just paused and everyone watched it. It was just weird to watch sometimes. The animation was really pretty. Sometimes the nipples kind of looked weird to me, but I didn't mind them too much. There were a lot of thong shots that were just kind of random, which was just weird, but I mean, I didn't mind too much, I guess.
To go off of what Monk said about hentai, I firmly believe this should have just been a hentai. They really tried to push the boundaries of an ecchi, and I think this is one of the most explicit ecchis I've seen, where they basically are having sex but since you don't technically see it's not a hentai, but there's titties galore in each episode. And there are some scenes that were a little hard to watch for me, like, just made me uncomfortable. And I don't know, this is just my personal thing, but them always swapping the girls of who they're driving with, that made me feel a little uncomfortable too. Like, just, oh, women are disposable. Oopsie. And I mean, if you want an anime that's nice to look at, or if you're into voyeurism, sure, this is for you. But if you're looking for plot or anything relating to the plot that involves the fan service, it's not here.
キャラクターズ
I would say that there's too many characters that this anime tries to focus on. So none of them really get any development except for, I would say, Mermaid, but Mermaid just has a bunch of flashbacks to show her story, but it's not really development towards her personality. And with all these characters about, it just comes down to, oh, that character has big titties, that character has small titties, and who's a top, who's a bottom, essentially. None of them really have any distinct personality traits to make any of them truly interesting.
Yeah, I basically wrote the same thing of there are too many characters and nobody really got proper development. And for the two main characters, I honestly found Mireille annoyingly quiet because she typically only says like 3-word sentences and really doesn't express emotion that much, and I found that kind of annoying. And then Mamori was kind of just there to be the damsel in distress a lot of the time, and just to like, she's in this situation, now Mireille has to come and save her, or just not really contributing very much to the plot outside of that. So the characters just weren't it for me.
The characters, like they said, didn't really have any depth. I felt like they just kind of fit, I guess the best word, just body types for people to like. Like, you had smaller girls, you know, bigger girls. Some of them were quiet, I guess. Some of them had a little backstory, but it never really mattered much. The story just mostly focused on arousing and shooting guns and crap. And they just really didn't have much development, and it just never really stuck me with a character to like because of the lack of development and overall personalities.
エンターテインメントバリュー
For entertainment value, don't get me wrong, as a lesbian, it's nice to look at pretty girls making out and stuff, but it kind of gets old after seeing it repeatedly and having no substance to the plot. This anime would have fared way better as a hentai, like I've said previously. And because the plot just gets so confusing, because they decide to add a main plot, the entertainment value just kept decreasing within later episodes. So I didn't get much entertainment out of it besides just looking at pretty girls.
Yeah, I really didn't find much in this department. For the first 5 episodes, I decently enjoyed it because it felt basically comparable to your stock standard action ecchi. But as it went on, I just couldn't follow what was going on. And the action sequences really didn't do anything for me either. And the last 4 episodes and the final fights, it just felt like there was a new element, new attack, new transformation being pulled out of nowhere every 20 seconds. And even for the fan service, like Joel said, it just kind of got repetitive. Like, it's the same thing we've seen in all the other episodes. So this, like, I can't say that I really got bored watching it, but I wouldn't say I really got much entertainment out of it.
Entertainment-wise, I wasn't really entertained by any of it. After the embarrassment thing about doing that whole Razzle thing wore off after a few episodes, and like she just didn't care anymore, I guess. There's nothing to really be entertained about. I mean, the fights were kind of predictable. Just, oh, he has a sword. Oh, everyone else has a gun. Who's gonna win? And towards the end, it was kind of cool with the fights, but it just kind of dragged on, it felt like. So I just started getting bored for those last episodes, and it just, overall, it wasn't very entertaining for me.
Each fight can be summed up by Donkey.
Why am I fighting this? I have a gun. Just shoot the gun.
Because Mermaid always has a sword, but everyone else pulls a gun out of their ass. It's like, but Mermaid still wins. It doesn't. The fights just don't do it because they're also like 2 minutes long. So if you're looking for it for action, that's not there.
Yeah, a lot of them end up being finished off in like one solid hit. There's no real back and forth. It's just someone gets shot or Mermaid hits them with the sword and they're done.
ベストガール
So, as we've mentioned with the characters, they're all pretty bland. So, I don't have a definitive best girl, but if I had to pick one, I would pick Kasumi because I find her attractive and she has some semblance of a story and character to her, but still not that much.
At first, because of the last anime we watched, I was attracted to the Momoko lookalike. I don't remember her name much. She wasn't very relevant to the story, so I stopped caring for her after that. And then, as the story went on, I liked the duo of Lady. I found them hot, and I found them interesting. And those are the only characters I care for in this whole series.
My best girl was Mermaid. I'm not usually into big boobed girls, but almost everyone in this anime is one or just has no chest at all. I find Mermaid the most attractive out of all the girls, and everyone's bland anyway, so she didn't annoy me, so that's why I ended up liking her. And she was kind of the hero character, which is what I like. But yeah, I'd have to go with Mermaid, mostly based on just attraction.
ファイナルスコア
So I gave this anime overall a 3. It was very bad. I liked the animation a lot and the character design for a good part, which is why it's not 1 or 2. But after that, the story does not make up for anything. It's so bad. I was disappointed that I even came into watching this because the ending was bad, the plot was bad and non-existent. It was just, it's not worth watching. Just watch a hentai.
So, I think I can classify this as one of the series I enjoyed the least out of all the anime I've watched. In the start, it was passable. It was just your standard action ecchi, but it just went barreling downhill and just could not get its footing back. If there was better structure, like it felt like they knew what they wanted to do from the beginning and that carried out through the end, then this could have had very decent potential to be like quality. But instead, they just crammed all the story into the last third of the series, and there just really wasn't that much redeemable for me. Because in an ecchi, I definitely don't expect it to be the most amazing story ever, but I want there to be something to get out of it, because otherwise I can just go on Twitter and look at titties. I don't have to watch a whole series for that. And it just didn't really offer much. I have to give it credit for the art and animation, but even then, I wasn't 100% happy with the art direction, but it's still like the best part of the series. So overall, I give it a 3 as well.
Okay.
I give this anime a 4 out of 10. Definitely the least enjoyable anime we've seen yet. The first 6 episodes aren't terrible and are actually tolerable, but when the show decides to get a plot, it goes downhill fast. And the novelty of seeing girls make out and turn to weapons gets really old because the fights never last long or have any real meaning. if you're looking for some nice material, just watch clips of the show and don't waste your time, or just watch a hentai. If you're looking for cool anime fighting, it's not here. To me, the concept is cool of girls turning into weapons, but it just was not executed well. And the ending had us all shocked and appalled for at least a good 30 minutes by how nonsensical the show got. So I can't really recommend this anime unless if you're just looking for titties and nothing else.
Yeah, and on that note, after we finished the series, like immediately after, I was actually considering giving it a 1. Just because I was so baffled at what had happened in the last couple episodes. So that brings our official Oppai Hunters score to a 3 out of 10. Yeah, just don't even waste your time with this series. Like, it's good to look at, but you could just go on FAP service and look at the fan service moments. It's not worth your time. That's going to do it for our review of Valkyrie Drive Mermaid. As always, let us know what you thought of this anime and the review in the comments. And if you liked the video, make sure to leave us a like and subscribe for more Oppai Hunters content.